Okay, next up, here to share her views is Eyabo Macauley, who joined Shazam in April 2012, and she's recently taken on a new role as Regional Commercial Head, DACH and Africa. So, over to Eyabo.
Hello everyone, thank you very much for having me here. So, everyone knows Shazam, right? Show of hands. Brilliant. See, I love these presentations. And when you think of Shazam, what's the first word that sort of pops into your mind? See, even my mum says that, which is brilliant, and she's 60 plus. So when we think about Shazam, even for the early adopters, you've probably been through a real experience with us from music discovery right up to TV content discovery, which is where we're at now. And hopefully, like a fine wine, you've watched us age and mature and get better and better.
TV screen now. $500 million users.
Shazam!
Shazam, that's right, I said Shazam. Amazing.
Hopefully that's woken everybody up a little bit after lunch. So when we think about Shazam, when I speak to people outside of the industry, they think Shazam and they think magic. And it's essentially that experience of being able to hit a button and then engage and interact with a brand or a piece of content in a way that enables the brand or the content owner to really build a relationship and establish a conversation. We're at just over 600 million global downloads now and about 100 million monthly active users. And part of the reason for that, I like to think, is because we're really kind of challenging the way that consumers actually consume traditional and new media. So what we're saying is that we know the smartphone or smart devices are at the focal point of the way that people are consuming media. So whether it's TV, radio, cinema, the one device that kind of remains constant through all of that is the mobile phone. And what we're saying is, all right, brilliant. We know that all of these mediums are working really hard and have, really established ways of communicating with their brands, with the consumers. But how do you connect all of those experiences and make it cohesive so that one flows to the other and to the other, and it's not a disjointed strategy? The mobile phone is absolutely huge, right? We know that it's the one device that's with us continuously throughout the day. We use the phone more than we watch the TV, more than we go to the cinema. All of those kind of various different mediums are still in existence, but the one kind of connecting device is the mobile. And around 89% of people are actually using the mobile to browse for product information, to find out more about particular brands, particular products. So what we need to get better at, and what as Shazam we're trying to help brands do, is to get better at thinking, okay, how do I keep that conversations going against all of those mediums? How do I have a cohesive experience that it lives in one place on the mobile device? Some of the best examples, I think, now of brands that sort of enter into that Web 3.0 phase is, being able to take what is essentially a digital proposition and get people sort of translating into a physical action or a physical behavior. Uber, I think, is probably a really good example of that. So you can book a taxi, you can pay for a taxi, but you're not being sort of transported into outer space. There is a car outside waiting for you to deliver you to your destination. And that's kind of where we see ourselves, or especially, or in particular, where we're trying to place ourselves. So we have, multiple strategies where we'll have brands who are using Shazam to actually drive footfall from, whether it's TV or digital space into a physical store. So that's what it used to be like when you kind of were thinking about, the original Web 1.10 experience. But we've moved on so much more since then. So the South African market, what's it like? Well, we know that we're around 40% penetration, and around 81% of people are actually using their phones to research to browse on the internet, which is huge because the average, I think, globally is around 89%. So even though the smartphone penetration in South Africa is lower than some of the other countries, the behaviors are still exactly the same. Specifically here in South Africa, we kind of rank at 13 in the Apple chart, which is incredible given the fact that, we are completely inundated with apps these days. It's when you look at your phone, if you take out your device, you've probably got 20s of apps that are downloaded, but you only ever use probably 5 or 6 of them on a daily or a regular basis. And we are really happy that we still feature in the chart in the top 20. So one of the things that we as Shazam, I think, can't deny is obviously our music background. That's the one thing that people kind of think about when they think Shazam. So for us, we know that we're responsible for 7% of the world's global downloads, right, for digital music. So it means that we can't ignore our music heritage, and we don't want to. Music labels love using Shazam, and they love the relationship that we have with them because we can help identify up-and-coming artists. Artists love Shazam because it gives them a channel for them to actually be able to communicate with their fans. And more importantly, I think above all of this is the data. We hold so much data. We have around 37 million tracks in our database, right? So what that means is that we can tell when, about 6 weeks in advance before a hit actually gets to #1. Because once somebody starts showing a behavior of Shazamming and tagging that's been becoming popular, what that means is inevitably it will end up within the top 10. So labels absolutely love that. Artists absolutely love that. But I think the one thing that brands aren't leveraging properly or really kind of pushing to its maximum ability is the affiliations that they have with music. So quite often you'll have a brand who uses this great track as part of their music strategy. But what are they doing beyond saying, okay, well, I've got this artist as part of my brand strategy? And what we're trying to help brands do now is really exploit that affiliation that they have. So that, I'll give you an example. We have a really big retailer in the UK that has a massive, massive budget every Christmas, and they produce, a huge Christmas campaign. And they decided to use a really famous artist, and what they did was they used this particular artist, this particular track, but then didn't really do anything off the back of it. Within Shazam, there are so many ways that you can exploit an affiliation with the artist, either on the music result or within other kind of areas of Shazam. And they chose not to do that. But what happened was we had a challenger brand, nearly as big as them, but not quite, who decided that they would, in essence, overtake the music real estate within Shazam. So they leveraged and piggybacked on the back of the success of the brand who had used and spent so much money getting this artist on board and creating that affiliation, but didn't actually do anything with it. So they were able to basically reap the rewards of the business decision of a challenger brand. And this is what I'm talking about when I say, really exploiting and claiming ownership of the music affiliations that are already present. one of the, I think, best examples that we've got at the moment is of Demi Lovato. And she basically decided that she would take her European tour and almost put it in the hands of Shazam users, right? So she was saying, she released a video, which I'll show you in the next slide, and said, right, if you Shazam in your area and I get enough Shazams, I'm coming to your city. So for the 10 people who probably Shazammed in Uzbekistan, they were probably still disappointed. But, you know, it made them feel like they were interacting and engaging with her in a way that she could then sort of almost create a whole new side to her tour and a whole new side to her marketing campaign. And on the US tour, she basically used Shazam again to kind of push out to her people who'd previously Shazammed any of her tracks and say, look, enter this competition, win tickets, come and see me on tour. But here is the video for the European tour that she sent out to get people to try and sort of map her European tour.
Baby, when they look up at the sky, we'll be shooting stars just passing by. You'll be coming home with me tonight, and we'll be burning up like neon lights.
Hey guys, this is a message for all of my European Levotics. I need your help booking my next tour. The way it works is really simple. The next time you hear my single Neon Lights, pull up the phone and Shazam the track. From there, we're gonna take all of the information to plan my 2014 European tour around who's tagging my music the most. This is the first time this has ever been done, so join me in making history.
Be still my heart, 'cause it's freaking out.
So that for her was an incredible way to engage her audience and actually get them kind of involved in what she was doing. So here is a graph that shows you the organic activity that was happening for that particular track. And then when she posted that video that we've just seen, the activity that happened off the back of that. So you see that huge peak there on the blue line. And again, you know, when you think about exploiting the audience, your fans, and actually getting them to engage and interact, this is a really good example of that. These are all of the places that that there were actually Shazam tags were generated. I mean, it's really interesting, again, because obviously you know that she wouldn't be going to all of these places, but I think just for a fan to feel like they were involved and part of the tour, or seemingly part of the tour, it kind of had a really good uplift. Because here we can see the social buzz around the whole campaign. So within 24 hours, the total reach was at 52.3 million, which is incredible, given the fact that, you know, this kind of literally went out to her, specifically to her Shazam users. So one of the things that I think we're really focused on, you know, in the future, this year, you know, the next sort of 6 to 12 months, is making everything that you see. So everything you see, everything you hear, Shazam enabled. We're trying to take over the world. Yes, we are. And the new kind of things that you'll see hopefully coming up, you know, within the next 12 months are beacons. So beacons is obviously a massive topic at the moment. It makes complete sense for us, I think, as Shazam, because we have such a huge kind of global footprint in terms of downloads, and been able to connect people not only, you know, in home or in cinema or in the car listening to the radio, but in outdoor events, you know, live is really important to us. So this is something that we've invested in a partnership with the Beacons technology platform. So once your Bluetooth is turned on, you'd be able to receive, you know, Shazam push notifications, which will be incredible for us. And that's obviously the next phase. And then, I know it's a really, really dirty word, and I kind of shudder when I say it, but QR codes, I think, were brilliant, but they were kind of, it is a dirty word. They were, I think, they were just sort of ahead of their time, right? And people didn't really know what to do, really didn't know how to use them. But what we're kind of figuring out now in the partnership that we're using currently with Digimark is trying to establish, right, okay, we know that QR codes didn't work. Why didn't they work? Well, you know, people didn't really know what to do. They didn't really know how to use them. But as Shazam, people already know what to do, right? They take out their phone, they hit the button, and a content experience is delivered back to them. So we're working on a similar proposition that would involve almost a digital kind of invisible barcode that could sit on a can of a popular fizzy drink, or within a popular sort of press publication, so that somebody could Shazam and still be able to deliver this amazing content and experience, not dissimilar to the experience that you get with TV currently, but working in exactly the same way. But the key difference would be that people already know how to use Shazam, they understand how to use Shazam, so there isn't that confusion as to what do we do and how does it work. So these are hopefully the things that you'll see up and coming over the next sort of 12 months. And that's it from me. Thank you. Are there any questions? None at all, really? Was it that good a presentation? Okay. All right then. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks. Great. Thanks, Eyabo. And thanks to all our international speakers for making the long trip to share all of your knowledge with us. We really appreciate it.